Hey, welcome back into the channel, everybody, and Merry Christmas Eve. It's officially Tuesday, December 24th, 2024, and Milo is back on video here. If you didn't see my last video, we did actually get a new member of the family. He is an 11-week-old Old English sheepdog, and we've named him Milo. He's already approaching 20 pounds. He's just a puppy, so he's not going to sit here long during this video, but I just wanted to say hi, and that the IRS, our best friends at the IRS giving us a Christmas gift, I guess for some of you, have officially announced the new 1099 thresholds. Thank you, buddy, that we discussed and speculated on about a month or two ago. Let me put you down. Go ahead, buddy. You're just itching to get away. So the IRS officially giving us the 2024, 25, and 26 thresholds. Let me give them to you right away so you don't have to watch this video long. For 2024, that is this year, right now, for the money you are earning right now that you are going to report in about a month or two in January, February, March, or whenever you do your taxes, that's 2024's taxes that you report in 25. It is $5,000. If you earn over $5,000, if you do $5,000 in gross revenue, you are going to receive, or you are supposed to receive, a 1099 from any platform. Now, as I've stated in many, many videos, and I'll continue to state in the videos, that is gross revenue. It includes everything, shipping, the price. It should not include the sales tax. It is the total that you have sold. You are not taxed on gross income. You are taxed on profit, less expenses. Please talk to a CPA if any of this goes over your head, or you don't understand it, or you're new, or you have no clue what I'm talking about. So if you do $5,000 in revenue, you receive that 1099. You have to report that income, even if you don't receive a 1099, if you don't hit 5,000. If you do 3,000, you still have to report it. You're just simply not going to get the 1099 because that's not the threshold to receive the paperwork. It doesn't give you a get out of jail free card to not let the IRS know that you made money. So if you do $4,999, don't think, oh, I don't have to tell the IRS about it. I can get away with this. Now, this also does not include personal transactions. If you do $4,900 and your buddy sends you $200 for pizza, like, oh, hey, thanks for throwing a pizza party, that puts you over the $5,100, that will be part of your total gross sales, and you may receive a total 1099, but you can exclude that, and you would only report to the IRS the $4,900, which was the income you made in business or selling or whatever it is. So personal transactions, personal transferring money back and forth, or giving your roommate, pizza money, that is not included in what you report, but it may show up on the 1099, and it may put you over the threshold, or it could put you over the threshold to receive that 1099. And that's kind of the crappy thing, because you might not do any business and only sell a couple things, but you give your roommate gives you $300 a month for electric and water and pizza, and then you get a few $100 other in transactions, and all of a sudden you're over 5,000, and so you're getting that 1099 even though all your stuff was personal. Unfortunately, that could happen, and you would just make sure you go to the IRS and report your $300 in actual sales, and you'd say, hey, that other $4,700, it's all personal stuff. Done. Not reportable, not taxable. Okay, so moving forward for 2025, for the money you earn next year, all through the year, January through December of next year, that you will report in 2026, it's going to drop to $2,500. So if you only do $2,500, you're going to get that 1099 next year. You'll actually receive that 1099 in January of 26 for everything you do on next year's revenues. Finally, everything you do in 2026 that you earn January through December of 26. When you get that 1099 in January of 2027, it's going to be based on a $600 threshold. So they're going to go to the number they originally wanted it set to. So for this year, the one you're about to get, over 5,000, you're getting one. Next year, as in 2026 in January, when you get that 1099, 2,500 it's based on. The final one in 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever you want to call it, that's based on 600. That is the official notices. Let me pop a screenshot up here who first notified me. This was Mark 2. He's known as Not Your Dad's CPA, of course, full-time reseller. He's a CPA extraordinaire. He works with resellers specifically, although he does do other things. He has an amazing Reseller Tax Academy and Facebook group and other resources. If you are interested in any of that, I'll link Mark's website down below. Please give him a chance. He is awesome. He's the guy I go to and the guy that you should go to if you have tax questions. 100%. as a reseller, he's the guy to do it no matter where you are in the United States. He may even work with people outside the United States, but don't quote me on that. I think just the US. He notified me on IRS, dropping the 1099 to 5,000. And then, of course, I went over to the IRS website, which I will, again, screenshot for you here. This is directly from irs.gov, which I will link below as well. $5,000, $2,500, $600 threshold. So again, the talking points here are the 3 new thresholds. If you go over those, whether it's personal or business stuff or combined, you may have to separate out the personal from the business and only report the business stuff and let them know that the other stuff is excluded in the event that they audit you. Remember, you only got to tell them about that if they audit you and say, hey, your 1099 said 5,000, you reported 3,000, and you go, hey, my buddies gave me $2,000 for pizza throughout the year. They gave me $200 every month. That's why I didn't report it. The IRS is going to go, okay, cool, right? That's the only reason you would need that. Also, if you don't hit those numbers and you don't hit those thresholds and you don't get the 1099, but you do sell stuff, you still have to report it. So don't think of this as, oh, I didn't do $5,000, I don't have to report it. Yes, you do. And that's pretty much all you need to know. It's as simple as that. You're taxed on your profit, not your gross. So you could do 5,000. Let's say you do 6,000 in sales. You get a 1099, right? Let's say after eBay's 13% fees and your 15% shipping labels and your 15% cost of goods, let's just say you're operating at 50% and you made 3,000 in profit, right? And let's say you're in, I don't know, let's say you're even in the 25% tax bracket, which is kind of high. It's in the middle of those tax brackets. That would mean that you owe $750 in taxes, but you had expenses. You had some mileage. You drove around to thrift stores. You had some materials, a couple $100 worth of deductions. All of a sudden, your $750 drops to $250. So you did $6,000 in gross revenue. You got that 1099. You owe the IRS $200, right? $250. That's an example. I made those numbers up in my head. I'm just telling you, just because you do some, bigger number, you could do, I had somebody I helped do their taxes a few years ago. I mentioned this once in a while. She did $35,000, right, in sales. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to owe so much in taxes. And I'm like, well, what did you profit on that? She's like, well, I operate on 50%. I'm like, okay. So you did $18,000, right? You made $18,000 in profit. Okay. She was floating around the 24% tax bracket, I believe. And I was like, well, on $18,000, 24% tax bracket means you owe $4,320. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, that's not terrible. It's still a good chunk of change. I'm like, well, yeah, you made $30,000 in sales. You made $18,000 in profit. You got to give the IRS a little bit, right? Well, that $4,300, she had mileage, and her mileage was like 60 cents a mile or whatever it is now. And she actually got like a $500 deduction from the mileage. And that brought it down to $3,800. And then she had some expenses. She had cell phone and home office she used in her townhome or condo or whatever it was. She got to deduct. The total was like another $1,600 worth of deductions she got to take off. And all of a sudden her taxes were like $2,100. She's like, well, that's not terrible. I owe $2,100. That's, whatever that amounts to. When you divide that out by 12 months, that's like $185 a month in taxes. She went ahead and paid the IRS their $2,000, their $2,100, and it was over. And she had a taxable, reportable income to show, like if she wanted to get a car loan or credit cards or, even start working towards a mortgage, which I believe was her ultimate goal. And so that's just to give you guys an example of how taxes work. Don't think because you do some $30, $40, $50, $60,000, you're going to owe a boatload of money. Generally, you don't. Again, it depends on your financial situation. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you legal financial advice. But just as an example, that's the way it worked out one time. I can remember years ago, maybe 6, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I filed one of my, biggest years at the time, I was like, oh my God, I think I did like $120,000 in revenue, but I made like a little over 50%. I made like $70,000. And I was like, oh. And the taxes were like 30%. So I owed $21,000. But after we did expenses and mileage and home office and all this stuff, my $21,000 bill was actually $9,000, which was very bearable. It still sucked to write a $9,000 check, but it was super reasonable considering I had done $120,000 in revenue and profited over $70,000. So just something to think about, guys. Don't be scared of the IRS. Don't be scared of taxes. With deductions, with legitimate, not, duping the system without being illegal or shady, taking the absolute legal tax deductions, you can take a tax bill down to pennies on the dollar. So just remember that and get yourself a good CPA who can help you do that. I recommend Mark too. He's not your dad's CPA. He's linked below. And as always, thank you for watching these videos. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. We're going to go to a Christmas Eve party with Crazy White Elephant where you don't buy gifts. You find stuff around your house and you share it with everybody else. So this should be interesting. We're going to take Milo along with us so he can meet some new doggies and socialize. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And if I don't talk to you tomorrow, have a very Merry Christmas. And I'll put a video out tomorrow night, as I always do on Christmas evening. Thank you guys so much for being here on your Christmas Eve. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the links down below, including Mark's website. He's amazing, and I think you should give him a chance. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.